Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Natalia, and on this channel we talk about plant stuff, but you never know. So for today's video, I will be going through different ways of how to know when your plant needs watering, or basically how not to kill your plant. I will be giving out some tips and tricks at the end of this video, so if you're interested in that, then stick with me. Okay, to start off, let's crack some misconceptions. Overwatering. Overwatering your plant does not mean how much water you're pouring over your plant, the amount of water you're pouring over your plant. What overwatering actually means is not leaving any time for the plant between waterings to dry out, basically. So if you water your plant every day, then you're probably killing it. It's not about the quantity of water you're pouring over your plant, it's about how often you are watering your plant. I personally take my plants over. Do you like my new syngonium? I'm obsessed. It's so tiny and cute. How I water my plant, basically I take my plants over to the sink and I water them. I make sure that water is draining out of the drainage holes. That way you'll know your roots are all wet, your soil is all wet, your plant is basically getting the water it needs. And then I will put it back in its place and just check on it every few days. For now, let's hop into the different ways of how you can know when your plant needs watering. When do I water my plant, Natalia? My plant is dying. I don't know if I'm overwatering her, if I'm underwatering her. How do I know? Help me out. I'm gonna help you out. Tip number one for you guys is shove that finger in there, guys. Put it in or get a chopstick, basically. If you have a smaller plant, you can simply just put your finger in an inch or two inside the plant. I have something stuck in my throat. Put an inch or two of your finger inside your plant. If it comes out completely dry, no soil on it, nothing sticking, then your plant is dry. If your finger comes out with some soil stuck to it, then your plant is probably still moist. If you have a bigger plant, I would say get a chopstick and put it in, go deep as you can, and then pull it out. If, again, same thing, soil on it, wet, nothing on it, dry, it's dry, your plant is dry. Tip number two is invest in a moisture meter, guys. You have no clue how much this has helped me. When I started off my plant journey, I was overwatering. I am an overwaterer. I have to admit it. I'm sorry. I had too much time on my hands and I was just like hovering over my plants the entire time, like, do you need water? Do you need water? Do you need water? I'm gonna give you some because I'm kind. I'm gonna give you some because I'm kind. And she was basically drowning and screaming for help. And I was, okay, it wasn't that severe, okay? I'm just a writer at heart. Anyway, moisture meter. How this basically works is it has a scale from 1 to 10, and 1 to 3 is dry. Depends on the moisture meter, I guess. This one, 1 to 3, it's dry. 4 to 7, whatever is moist. 8 to 10 is wet. That's how you know. Stick it in the soil, put it deep, let these little sensor thingies reach the bottom or as far as you can go, yani, of the pot, and check. When the thingy reaches dry, then your plant is dry. Depends on the plant. Some plants like to stay moist, so you gotta keep them between that 4 and 8. Some plants like to dry out completely between waterings. Just research your plant and you'll know. So this is how you use this thing, a lifesaver. Go buy one right now. Tip number 3 is check the weight of your pot. Carry your pot. If your pot feels very light, then your plant is probably dry. If your pot feels heavier, then the soil is probably still wet. Get a feel for it. Try and carry the plant, carry the pot after you water it, so you'll know how it feels when it's wet as opposed to like how light it feels when it's dry. Oh my god, it's so dry. Oh my god, it's so heavy. Okay, that's how you know. Plant number 4 for you guys is, it's not a tip. Sure? Tip number 4 for you guys is, it's the tip that I least recommend. Actually, this is not a tip. This is more of a how to know your plant is dying. So go save it right now kind of thing. Most plants will tell you. They will let you know when they're dry. The reason I'm saying leave this tip as a last resort is some plants are not as forgiving as others. Some plants, after they droop, it will be very hard for them to come back to life. Some plants will just... Take this Pilea, for example. Whenever she gets thirsty, you will see her leaves drooping. She will just completely droop, completely, and you will know that she is thirsty. So when you water her, it takes her like an hour and she will be just back to normal, standing upright, aiming for the sky. Some plants will let you know when they're dry, they will droop. When they're overwatered, most plants, I would say, will yellow on the inside. Like the inner leaves or the ones that are closer to the stems will start to yellow. So that's tip number 4. Tip number 4, last resort. We do not want to bring our plants back to life. We want to not let them reach that state of having to be brought back to life. You feel me? Now for the tips and tricks part of the video. I'm gonna start off with terracotta versus plastic pots. Terracotta, plastic pots. Basically, if you tend to be an overwaterer, I would recommend implementing terracotta pots into your life, because these things will absorb any excess moisture that would be in the soil. That way the roots won't have to drink up all of the water. The pot will just absorb some of it. If you're an underwaterer, I would say go for plastic, because with plastic, ain't nothing absorbing that stuff. Your plant will have to absorb it herself. However, I would say research the plant. Some plants do not like to be in terracotta. Like personally, I could never let an alocasia, for example, just live in terracotta. Why? Because I have... Allocations are a whole huge topic and everyone has their different experiences with them. With me, I have discovered that they love to stay moist. So I could never really have them in terracotta. I would rather have them just in plastic pots and keep them moist. Some people may not agree with me though. Some people like to let their alocasias dry out completely. If you do not agree with me, by all means, leave a comment. Let's start a conversation down below. I would love to hear what you would have to say. Every plant owner who has an alocasia knows that alocasias are a journey. So that's it for terracotta versus plastic. Terracotta absorbs a lot of water. Plastic, nowhere for the water to go. Another tip for you guys is study your environment. Study the environment that you have your plants in. If you have your plants sitting next to a humidifier, let's say for example, or in a humid area, then your plants will probably need to be watered less than if you have plants, let's say, sitting in a drier area. Like in the UAE, for example, oh my God, the weather is brutal. So the windows are closed the whole time. The doors are closed the whole time, and we basically have the AC on 24/7. That's just how it is. So again, each environment is very different. Tip number, I'm not even counting anymore. Another tip for you is study the plant, which kind of relates to studying your environment. Study the plant, study where it's native to, study where it naturally grows. Let's say a plant is native to the Philippines, then you will know that plant will enjoy a tropical weather the most. You can just have it sit next to a humidifier and you will just watch her thrive. Would you adopt a kid without knowing anything about that kid, where he's from? You want to know more about the people you care for, right? These are your plants. Do not bring them into your home if you are not willing to know more about them and learn more about them and have them live a very happy life. And same goes for your kids. Have I been looking at the monitor the whole time, guys? Let's hope not. Do not bring kids into the world if you're not ready to take care of them. But that's a whole other topic. Anyway, that's another tip for you. And the last tip I would say is, if you're an overwaterer, then bottom water your plants. Get a clear bowl, fill it up with some water, have your pot sit in that water and observe. If the water levels are going down quite fast, then your plant is thirsty. Let it absorb all the water it needs. Have it sit there for like 5 to 10 minutes, absorb whatever she wants, and then take her out. If the plant, I would say, like, if you have it sitting there for like 5 minutes and the water level has barely changed, get her out, because you are killing her. Get that plant out of the bowl. She does not need water. You go water yourself. Okay guys, maybe one last tiny tip would be plants usually demand less water in winter and more in the summer. An obvious tip, but if you haven't thought of it, there you go. I guess that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, if you learned anything, then please subscribe. If you would like to receive notifications whenever I upload, then hit the notification bell. And please guys, do not stress yourselves out. It's okay. We've all been there. We've all overwatered. We've all almost killed plants. No pressure. Plants are forgiving. Plants are kind. They will be okay. Do not pressure yourselves. It's okay. It's okay. That's it then for today's video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to smash the like button if you liked it. And I guess I will see you next time. Bye guys.